This
Perfect.
is going to be a fun hour sharing the mindsets with Daryl King of the Daryl King team and our broker owner of the Remax group of companies, Ken McLachlan, who's down in Florida right now. He's graciously taken out of his busy schedule time for us to learn from all his great knowledge and everything else and share with us. And whenever we can have some with his knowledge and you know, I've known Ken for many years, and you know, I honor him, and you know, he's a great family man. He's a great broker owner. He's a great leader. So to have him on here today, it's a great honor, and I'm looking forward. So if you have any questions, make sure that you get it out there that we all can ask them these questions. Just we'll ask them at the end. We won't answer them at the meantime.
Okay.
So today we're going to talk about the past, the present, and the future. So two great legends. And I would say Kenny's a bigger legend than me. But anyway, I'm still a legend in my own mind. So one day I'll get out of that.
You're doing okay, Daryl.
Welcome, Ken. So
listen, it's a privilege to be here. Thank you for asking me, and I'm really flattered that you actually have me on one of your programs here. And I'm just glad to be contributing if I can.
All right. So Ken, how long
you've
been involved in real estate?
Wow. I got my license in 1979, September of 79, in downtown Toronto. I worked for a company called Terry Martell Real Estate, fresh, green, on the Danforth. That's where I cut my teeth back in those days, and it was great. I loved it. I got lucky moving into an area that was just I think they call it gentrifying. There was just changing from a very vibrant Greek community to I guess they called them yuppies back then, Daryl. And I was in the middle of it. I started to learn the business by working for a great group of people, Terry Martell Company, a very small boutique company at the time. And it became Bosley Real Estate eventually.
So you worked for Bosley at one time?
No, Bosley took over Terry when Terry collapsed his company. Bosley's been around for a long time, a great company. They took over Terry's interest when he decided to collapse it. Just lost my mic there.
You worked for a company that got taken over by Bosley. We know Bosley.
I did not. I wasn't with Martell at the time. I joined Remax in 1986, and Bosley, I think, took over Terry in 88, 89 or something like that.
So when you joined Remax, you were an agent then at time, right?
That's correct. I was an agent. There were 53 agents at Remax Hallmark at the time. I joined the 724 Pape Avenue office. There were 8 agents in that office when I joined it. And you know what? September 86, it changed my life, the whole thing. I got to spend a lot of time with one of my mentors, Kent Shepard.
I know Mr. Shepard very well, as you know.
Yeah, Sheppy, and he taught me a lot. He taught me. He was vibrant, is vibrant out there. He was larger than life, and he was there at the perfect time in my life, and the perfect time for the industry and for Remax Hallmark at the time. But you know what? It was the best of times too. It was fun.
So at that time, you know, interest rates were very high.
Yeah, they were, you know, the market back then was, I guess we were kind of almost, you know, looking back, we were almost oblivious to it because we just had to adjust to whatever the market presented. I remember working through markets at 21% interest, having to carry 10 listings to get one sale. We used to do, as you know, Daryl, there were a lot of vendor take-back mortgages to sell. So we would do a mortgage at that was 21% mortgage, and we would actually sell it for 14%. So we would have the Paul Ezrins of the world. I don't know if you remember him. Cityscape did that, and he would buy the mortgage. So the buyer would not be paying 21%; they'd be paying a 14% mortgage. The seller would pay it down, and that was how we had to do business. We had to learn. I think what helped me a lot, I became an expert in mortgage financing and created a unique selling feature that I had at the time. So I became working for Remax at the time. I became one of their best agents. Actually, I was the number one agent selling back then.
So yeah, I remember the first year I got in business, basically interest rates were 21%. And, that's why, when I hear people that things are tough now or bad now, you know,
Yeah.
most
It
agents,
is.
they say,
Yeah.
Ken, that most agents, 90% of the agents through the National Real Estate Association, which is North America,
Mhm.
that probably 80 or 85% of them are only 7 years in.
Yeah, I heard a stat the other day. I think it's I'm just making a little bit of it up from what I remember, but every 5 years, most of the agents recycle out of the business. There's just a small percentage of them that stay into it. I know from many years after I got into this business, 10 or 15 years, I don't think there were maybe one or two people that I remember that were still in the business that took the courses with me. And so it's a real recycle thing. We see it in our industry a lot. But that's not abnormal. It's been like that forever, really.
Yeah, because I remember the only way I could get anyone to sell a house back then was to the vendors at that time to pay
Yeah.
down the mortgages.
Yeah, that's all we ever did. We had to be connected with mortgage brokers. It was a big mortgage broker business when the rates were really high. One character that I dealt with by the name of Paul Ezrin, who was brilliant. I don't know if anybody remembers him, but it was just, all you had to do is pick up the phone and phone him and say, listen, I have a mortgage for X amount and the price is this, the down payment's that. And he'd tell you how much you would buy it for. So you knew going in to do the offer what the discount was. And he stood by it. He never did once not do it. So that was really, you'd be buying a house for 100, but in essence, the seller was only going to get 97,000. In fact, that's what they ended up getting. So there was always a discount on the sale price based on the mortgaging on it. And that's just how we did business. We had to do business that way, but we created that market because of it. And that's the adjustment that we always make in a changing market is all good realtors have to, and if you can, one of the things I believe is that if you continue doing the same stuff every time in any market, you're going to have a lot of difficulty. And so my adjustments had to be made on the fly. The market is always changing, and it's going to change tomorrow. It's going to change 6 months from now. I have to be prepared to adjust, to grow this thing and to make sure that I'm engaged in the market at all times.
So you think back at, you started even before I did, but even when I started, it's over 34 years ago.
Yeah.
And, rates were so high then. And, you either had mortgage brokers doing their magic with you as a partner, or you had to get the sellers to be creative to bring back the rates. So what's
Absolutely,
happening is in these last number of years that the interest rates have been at lower rates than they ever been in our history.
Yeah.
And, house prices escalated what I see way too fast, and that's, created a bit of a problem. And now, the government has raised the rates 8 times in such a short period of time that it's every time they raise it, people are just getting adjusted to that last interest rate. It's like being kicked in the stomach and getting the wind knocked out of you.
Of course. Yeah.
But
it is. Yeah, it is very much like that. And the government put that, the qualification marks were a little different than they used to be. We never had that back in the 80s or 90s, but I'm glad they did that. There's been a little bit of a buffer for a lot of people, but the truth is that we have to be creative. We have to be 25, 30-year term mortgages, maybe, or amortization periods, to create different kind of magic to help people get into housing that they need to. And I think that's going to be how we succeed going forward when the rates they may settle around 6%, I think. I don't know. My guess is that an educated guess would be around 6%. We have to be creative with the vendors or sellers and mortgage brokers and or professionals to help us do this deal, to help our clients buy and help our clients sell properties. Right now, that's our job. And there will be adjustments we have to make along the way.
So, what people have to realize, if we're agents, we have to adjust. It's not, buyers and sellers have to adjust, but it's the agents that have to do the pivot and they have to adjust. you know, whether it be 30 some years ago, 40 years ago, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, there's a lot of things that are the same, but there's a lot of things that change, right?
Yeah, I know for a fact that, if I look back at the company that Remax Hallmark and look back at our history, I mean, we are not the same company we were 3 years ago. I mean, we keep adding and taking away and, doing things like that. We have to keep pivoting at all times. And I think real estate agents, when I observe real estate agents, how they're conducting their business, they tend to, I talk about it really about, we have different spokes in our business, and those that have worked with me before might hear this again. Like, we have to have certain levels of spokes, like a wheel. As our foundation in this business, if you're relying on one or two spokes only source of business and changing market, you will have difficulty. And the objective is to have 8 or 9 different spokes to support your business. By spokes, I mean different ways of building your business. One of them might be social media, one might be private for sales, one might be bank, power of sales, anything. Pick how you do it. But if you don't have 8 spokes, you will be your adjustment will be much harder when the market changes. So some spokes will be working well now, some spokes won't be working well. Depends on how you're doing business. So
you say spokes, I say pillars.
Same thing. Yeah, same thing. My visual is a wheel going around, and to support the wheel, which is our business, you have to have these spokes. And the only way you can support your business is by being vibrant and building your business and supporting your client base and really having a nurturing environment for yourself. And if you look at your business and it's only 1 or 2 aspects of it, you're going to be in trouble. I had a friend of mine, a client, realtor in our company, that was really predominantly an expiry agent. And we all know, I don't know when, but years ago, they changed the rules around expiry. You couldn't naturally just phone people up and contact them. You had to have their permission. So all of a sudden, with that new rule change, they were out of business. They didn't have these other spokes to rely on. So my encouragement for people is to really look at how your business is, your source of business, and your activities. And if you don't have 8 or 9 different spokes driving your business by, expiries, for sale by owners, social media, pay-per-click, whatever it is you do, that's a data marketing, you will have a difficulty at sometimes with the changing market. So
I sold this one client's house in a matrimonial a few years back, and I sold it for 262,000 over. Now he ended up getting with another spouse. Now they're getting divorced.
Oops, I shouldn't laugh at that, should I?
No, but that's why things never change. As much as things change, they still stay the same. Whether someone should buy today, so someone sell today, someone invest today. And really, if you look at the overall picture, that if you go back into time, that I had the numbers here. So let me sort of dig them up. Still getting feedback, guys. That if you just look at how much, in my estimation, I don't think there's ever a bad time to buy real estate. And I don't think there's a bad time to sell it. And I don't think there's a bad time to invest in it, because it's going to change anyway. And, it might be in a downward spiral. It might be at a peak spiral. And, it's like, people buy stocks and they go up and down. And a lot of that is.
I know. My philosophy is if you're trading in the same market, you're okay. I mean, if you're selling in this market and you're buying in this market, you're fine. It doesn't matter. It's the same market. Where people get in trouble, I believe, is that if they start playing the market for their family home, and I'm going to sell now in the hopes that it's going to go down in 6 months or whatever, and they miscalculate, and then all of a sudden they're out of the market. So I think you should play, if you're in the market, stay in the market at the same time, buy and sell in the same time, don't withhold. I think the market is the best time to buy a property is when you need a property for your family and when you need a place to live in. And I think the long-term investment in real estate is sensational. I would discourage people from, and I never did do a lot of business, and I don't see a lot of our agents doing business with speculators. I think that's a difficult and I know a lot of people do speculation business, and that's their business. I understand that. But I also believe that there's a tendency to really, it's a crapshoot. Basically, you will get burned eventually, because if you play the market long enough, it's gonna blindside you. So any short-term investment is very, very risky, I think. But most of the clients that we all deal with, I would suppose, around this table are people that are families, that people that are buying and selling for their families and a place to live. They might have an investment property that they want to hold on to for a while. And trading in any market is the market that's important to you. Buy and sell when it's important to you to do so. We can always adjust with the rates and play with it at any time.
Yeah. See, I know growing up that we were sort of old school, and you know, a home was a home, and it was your castle basically.
Yeah.
And you know, people would own their house 30 and 40 years, whatever the case might be.
Yeah.
So
it's not your forever home. Okay. I mean, you may I don't think many people, I mean, they trade, I think statistics trade every 5 to 7 years again, that they trade homes. And you know what? It's when they're buying, it's the part of their life that's important for them now. It might be a starter home, it might be, you know, an investment property, whatever. What's important for you now at this time? So trade up, trade down. I don't think you're going to buy out of the gate a house that you're going to be living with the rest of your life. I know a lot of the older people that I know, people I grew up with, tend to be in the same house that they bought first time around.
that's what I'm talking about.
You know, they're not doing that anymore. They're trading 3 years, 5 years, the impatience of it, and that's fine. I mean, that's more of a normal trading market. As long as you do it in the same, as long as you buy and sell in the same market, you're okay, I believe.
Yeah, I always worked I worked under the pretense, you know, you have a first time home, you know, roughly you're going to own it for about 3 years.
Yeah.
Your second home, maybe 5 to 7 years.
Yeah.
And then your third home is normally the home that you're going to be in longer. I got to show my Matthews. I can't see it on screen. You got to get my boy in there.
You got to get that boy in there, buddy. Yeah, and I would chart that, Daryl. I would chart that. I knew, statistically speaking, and I used a 5-year number, and I knew that if I sold a house to Jim and Sarah Smith, as an example, I knew that in 5 years they were likely to be selling. So my marketing to them changed in year 3.5 to 4. Okay, so I started anticipating that they were likely to sell at that period. So my conversation became more geared to what's their next home that they're going to. So I just didn't do a blanket marketing to everybody. I geared to what was important to them, because I knew, statistically speaking, they were likely to sell in that period. And I wanted to be their number one choice for real estate. So I changed my message every time based on how many years they were there.
See, one thing that I learned right from when I got into real estate over 34 years ago, location, location, location.
Yeah.
And would you say that has changed today?
No. Buy the best house you can for the cheapest price you can in the best location. Yes. Absolutely. Right. You know, and that to me is drives it all the time. Now, listen, there are times when you buy a sensational house in a sensational location and you're paying a sensational price, because that's what I want and I can afford it, or somebody can afford it. So it all depends on your needs. But you know what? I think if it came to the house style as opposed to the location, especially with your first time buying properties, I would encourage your buyers to buy a location first. Okay, and then trade up to the style of house you want in the years to come.
Well, as we noticed that, you know, when we first bought our houses, you know, I think I bought my first house at the ripe age of 21. Yeah. And I think my house was $90,000 or $96,000. Yeah. Now, did I have $90,000 or $96,000 at the time? Absolutely not. So it was a big spend. And I remember working, because it was a brand new house. It was a 9-month closing. And I remember working overtime and doing a second job to try and get up as much money as I could for the down deposit, where my mortgage would be lower, because, you know, then I was making dollars instead of thousands of dollars. And, you know, I don't think it's any different today, because
no, I think it's all the same. I think this business has not fundamentally changed in 40 years I've been in it. You know, the thing I see often is this talk today is about mindset. A lot of it is mindset. And the business there might be more ways to drive business, social media, the cool stuff, that we're doing out there. But fundamentally, it's the same business it was 40 years ago, in the sense that it's being of service to people, providing a quality product to sell to people, and presenting it properly with integrity and ethics, and getting out of your way. I mean, I find that most agents, and I was guilty of this as well, Daryl, very much so, that I created the bigger problem in my head than actually what was out there. I stopped myself from getting my success. I actually sabotaged my success for many, many years, because I created this different roadblocks in my head that I couldn't do it. I couldn't happen with it. Once I got past that attitude of, listen, I had to do the work. I was prepared to do the work. And I had the common sense to strive to put my head down and do the work. Okay. And I knew in the long term that if I did the work, my success was going to happen. And I knew that. And how I judged my success was based on the value that I was presenting to my clients. It never was a one-time deal. I knew that if I helped people buy property, they likely were to give me 3 or 4 leads from that. Okay. So I was always building my references, my relationships, and how I was building my business. So my success, if I've had any, is from the stubbornness of actually working with people and doing it and providing value to people along the way, and being cured of my integrity, being an integrity-based company and business that was running.
Well, if you're working with clients, I mean, your clients have to come number one. I mean, that's how I started the program with the royal treatment. I always treat my clients like family, right?
It is that.
Don't do something upon others that you wouldn't do upon yourself.
Yeah, Ken Shepherd used to always say that pretend that always have a 60-minute film crew following you around all day, when you're doing your work. And
I like that.
Yeah, and it was like, okay, yeah, that's a good, a good example, a good viewpoint to have, is that I'm going to do things as if everybody was there watching me at all times, and I'm going to be straight up. I'm going to divorce myself from the results. I'm just going to base it on doing the best job I can do, and getting out of the way of people, helping them create what they want. I think a lot of agents tend to create these roadblocks in our heads. And that, to me, is the biggest problem with a lot of people in business today, is that they have this impatience to do things. I think it's important to really be patient, and to dig it, and to understand it, and to do the best you can at all times.
So let's say I'm a child, I'm like 24 years of age or whatever the case might be. Mm-hmm. My parents have built up a lot of equity into their home.
Yeah.
Their income is not too bad. I mean, they went to university, they've got a decent job, whatever, but to buy something in the city or just closer to the city, it's a lot harder, because the prices of, your average is roughly $1 million for argument's sake. So people, when we say location, they're now forced, especially after pandemic, people have gone further across the country than they ever have before, driving out of the big cities and going out to the burbs, that much more. So,
well, it's all about, Daryl, drive till you can afford it. Really. That's the line. If you, I'd love to live in Rosedale. I'd love to live, in whatever, we all could live there, but I'd love to. When I first started out, I didn't want to live on Fulton Avenue or East York. I prefer to live in Rosedale. I couldn't afford it though. So we had to do these different things. We had to start and build it and grow it. And with our clients, we have to do that ourselves and help them grow their portfolio and how they're doing things. So to your point, I think you have to help your clients adjust to what's important, to get into the market and to play it, and to have a 5-year plan, really, especially for the starter home.
Right. So do you think it's a good advice for the parents now to help the kids do some of the financing? Like the kids are going to inherit pretty much everything when the parents are gone anyway. So instead of waiting until they passed away, give them an earlier inheritance, or even give them a mortgage or a loan to help them purchase a house. Do you think that's a great idea?
I think the parents should spend every dime before they die. That's my philosophy, but I don't know. Anyway, joking aside, I think that a lot of we have they call it the sandwich generation, where we had to, thankfully, we were able to help our parents and help our kids. We're the sandwich between it, the meat and the sandwich. So listen, we all help our kids. There's a lot of our clients that are helping their kids with mortgaging and stuff like that. And it's important. I mean, they're giving them a leg up on what's going on. Listen, when I bought my first house, we had first 3 mortgages on it, and we put 10% down, and we just did whatever we could. I think the 10% was from Visa card. We borrowed money from Visa at the time. It was crazy. Do I recommend doing that? Absolutely not. Did it work out? Yeah, it worked out for us because we were there for the long term. But borrowing money from mom and dad is fine. I think most parents that are able to are graciously happy to do that. You know what? We've all done it for our kids. It's something that's important for them to do it and give them a leg up, as best they can. I would actually, that's one of the marketing things I used to do, was focus on my database. I did a lot of database marketing, focus on my database and say that who has kids of my clients out there, who have kids and who has equity in their homes, and who are their kids that are going to want to buy homes right now. And I want to connect with them based on helping their kids buy homes and connecting with the parents about that.
Yeah, I always tell them, listen, you wanted to live in Rosedale, but you had to go to another area in East Shore because that's what you could afford. And that's the one of the greatest things that as the realtors, we have to explain to them that get your foot in the door, right? You got to start somewhere, and where you want to start is not going to be from the top. You got to start at the bottom, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've seen it be successful, that we've worked our way through it. And listen, are we paying our dues? Yeah, I guess we do. I mean, that's the best thing we've ever done, is the ability to have these experiences and these difficult times. I think difficult times really make us. I think who I am in a crisis is who I really am in life. And everybody can say they're going to jump in and save somebody that's drowning in the pool, but what happens when that person really is drowning in that pool? So I like to look at myself as how am I being in a difficult period of life, and in this market as real estate agents, the market's changing. How am I being in that? Am I digging down? Am I doing the job? Am I helping my clients? And that's the adjustment that has to be made.
So one of the things is, is it a good time, like past, present, and future? If we look back in history of real estate,
yeah,
and you're a firm believer that real estate is still one of the best equities that you could ever own. So if we look back to 30 years today, basically there was 38,990 sales on the Toronto Real Estate Board. The average price at that time was 206,049, right? So
amazing.
just under 207. We look back 10 years later to 20 years ago, 2003, there was 78,898 sales. And that average price was 293.67 last year, 67. Last year, the Leafs won the Stanley Cup. So you think from that 10-year span, the growth rate only went up on an average. So it was at 206,490, and in 203 it was 293,067. So the growth rate back for that 10 years was not that great.
No,
the
it wasn't.
market and the economics of the economy was slower and not moving as fast. Now let's fast forward to 2013. There was 87,000 sales and 47, and your average price then was 522,951, right? So more of a growth span in that next 10 years. Now we look at the big growth span. You go now from 2022, your average was 1,189,917, and you go back then it was 522. So that's the 10 years from 2013 to say 223 was the biggest and largest growth span and the fastest ever.
Yeah, it was crazy times. Will that happen again? I don't know.
Well, I hope it doesn't. because it was
I don't,
too
I
fast
personally
and
hope
too
it
much.
doesn't. I just don't, that supply and demand type of thing is crazy. It's not healthy for us in the business, but you know what, long term, being in this business for as long as I have and having the consistent growth over it, there's going to be ups and downs. There might be a cycle of 3 to 4 to 5 years that it might be down, Daryl. They might have houses might not be as vibrant. Sometimes they'd be down in price, but in the long term, real estate has been a sensational investment. It's been really good to have that opportunity to have that nest egg built in their family home. It's a not taxable principal resident property, and I tell you, I've had best of fortune investing in real estate. I'm not too good at stocks because I don't know stocks.
I'm not great at stocks either.
But I know everything. I know a lot about real estate, and everything I've invested in long term, not short term, long term has paid off for me. Okay, and I would encourage people to think long term what they're doing and think long term for the clients. Listen, I have 4 grandkids who are sensational, and I know that when they are 20, 25, 30 years old, the value of real estate, my belief is the value of real estate in the GTA is going to be much higher than it is today. So that leads me to believe that I should be buying property today and hold on to it. And that's the kind of philosophy that I have. Long term, there's no better investment, I believe, than this business that we're in. And we are so fortunate to be in this business that helps a lot of people fulfill their dreams, financial dreams, and to get the gratitude of helping somebody buy a home that's perfect for them. That feeling that night of doing that is sensational. There's no better feeling, I believe, to go back to a client, a buyer or a seller, and say, listen, you got the deal. It's done. And wow, how great is that, to live in that dream. And we get to do that, which is sensational. And it's a great investment for people.
Yeah, we talked about down. So look in 1983, it was an average of 101,626. In 1984 is 102,318. So
Yeah.
almost no growth.
Yeah.
But if you
It
look in the
happens.
later years, the growth is outseated. And so now we just had a downward trend, right, for the last year and a half.
Yeah.
And as we see, we're already into multiple offer situations,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because the biggest problem that we're facing, as you mentioned, was supply.
It's all supply.
Supply and demand.
Yeah.
The demand is becoming greater and the supply is not keeping pace with demand.
Yeah. It's all supply and demand. And what property do you have in the market? How many properties in the market do you have that are selling? And it's all supply, it's supply driven, this business. And then you have the mortgage rates on top of it. But if the product isn't out there, which it isn't right now, it's very difficult to buy. I hear stories of 15, 20 offers on a property. It's
Or more
crazy. It's
already.
crazy. Yeah, I know. It's
Right.
crazy. Why is that happening? Because we don't have the property. We don't have the property on the market. That's why it's happening. So eventually there will be more product coming out. That's just a natural progression. And then we have that panic. Oh my God, the market's falling apart because there's 3 properties for every 1 that sell. Well, that's great if it happens that way. But you know what? It's an adjustment you make. So you carry 3 more listings than you used to have to carry before to cycle it through to help people buy. Yeah. But I'm, as you might know, and I think you do, Daryl, I'm very, very optimistic about this industry. I'm very optimistic about the business we're in. I love the job that we're able to do, that we are privileged to do, to help people buy and sell real estate and to be their trusted advisors on that. And it's a very, very difficult job. It is. And if you're not good at it, if you're not doing your work, if you're not preparing for it, if you're not doing the very best you can do at learning as much as you can and doing the daily work on a regular basis, you're going to be left behind. I don't care who you are. I don't care how brilliant you think you are. I'm sorry to be aggressive on this, but I have to do the work on a daily business. I'm in this business 40 plus years, and every day I'm still growing. Every day. I don't stop. And you have to be that. If you're a realtor, if you're sitting on your laurels out there, if you're letting the market dictate to you how you are being, if you're letting the market dictate your schedule, you got problems. You have to really be aggressive in the sense that you're learning more stuff, you're adjusting. I look at this page here, my good friend Patrick Gillis is here. And Patrick I've known for 100 years, a long time. And the business that Patrick does now is nowhere near the business he did 3 years ago, the style of business he does, because he's adjusted to it and he works every day learning and contributing to people. So if anything comes from the conversations we're having today, is that to be on the ball, to adjust, to keep growing and keep learning and do the work every day.
Yeah. See, people just, you go back a few years when the market, like in 2016, there was 113,000 sales and 40. That was the record breaking year. So
Yeah.
the year before that was 2015, 15, which had 101, and everything other year has been basically under 100,000. 2021, it went to 121. That was the three biggest years over 100. Every other year, it's been less than 100,000 sales. Like in 2022, we only had 75,000 sales.
Yeah.
And that's because there was so much climatic with the interest rates charging up so fast. Buyers were thinking, you know what, I'm going to wait till the market comes down even more.
Mhm.
Now, if they keep waiting, they're going to miss their plateau, because as far as I'm concerned, the market has already bottomed out. So if they're waiting any further, they're going to be chasing the market again.
Yeah,
right?
it may have bottomed out, but and I hear what you're saying, and I don't disagree with it. However, I think it's important for us to try to inform the people we're working with as much as possible so they can make valuable decisions for their families. And if they have a mindset that is not based on fact, it's our job to make sure that they have the knowledge and the information to make the decisions they need to make based on fact. And if anybody, you've established the need of why people are doing buying and selling real estate, which we have to do as the realtors, you will find out pretty quick what their need is, what they're doing and how to do it, and create information for them so they can move forward. Or if they don't, maybe they're not ready to buy houses, I don't know. But it's a great business. I keep saying that.
Yeah, it's about educating your clients and basically, because people, like I said, a lot of buyers have been sitting on the fence, just thinking that things are going to crash more and more. But,
because they've been reading the papers, Daryl. They've been reading the press, and the press, as you know, is usually 2 or 3 months behind of what really is happening in this market. And if you're a buyer and you're sitting there reading the Star every day, and I read it and I'm thinking, oh my God, that's not real. That's not real. That's not true. That might have been true 2 months ago, but it's not real now. That's not what's going on in the market. So our job is to actually have them cut through that forest of misinformation that the Globe's giving them, the Star, whatever it is, because that's the reactionary stuff. They're selling newspapers. Is to just make sure they're aware of the facts, what's going on, and educating them. And that's our job, is to help our clients make decisions, best decisions.
That is our job.
Yeah.
And I had a client, she was listening, I've listed her house and we're doing some contract work on it.
Yep.
And she's listening to all her friends. They're saying this and saying that. And I said, how many houses did these people actually sell this year, last year, the year before, and the year before that? Well, none. I know. And so you're going to be listening to these people that are the experts, but they haven't sold a house anywhere in the last 10 years. Yeah. Right. So that's
Daryl, that's why what we do has to be knowledge-based. And how we become knowledge-based is we do a lot of research, professional research based on data. You have a lot of data in front of you. We have to be able to actually help our clients by providing them with the accurate, up-to-date data and information based on what's important to them and their needs. That's all that matters. I mean, what's in the press and what their friends are telling them it's not real. But our job is to make sure that they get the information they need to have for them to make a decision.
Well, that's what I always tell people: be careful who you listen to, because you can be the sheep mentality and just follow the next sheep in front of you, and it's going to take you to the wrong direction where you could have went you're looking for water.
Oh,
Meanwhile,
the shining headlights, right?
that's right, looking for the shiny
Yeah.
headlights.
Yeah, I
So
know.
I always
That's
tell
it.
my team members or even clients that, be careful who you listen to, because anyone goes yak, 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 but let's base it, back it up with facts and numbers, right? Because they
Yeah.
don't lie.
And that is why we have to stay connected to the people that matter to us, our client base, and provide them the information that's important and relevant. But we just can't be on the sidelines and let everybody else dictate the conversation at all.
Yeah, I always put it, I said, so where are you getting this information from? Oh, I talked to a realtor, I talked to a mortgage broker.
Mhm.
And they go, so they're telling you this, but here's the facts in black and white.
Yeah.
So where are they getting their facts from? Right. And that's the thing. You look at how many realtors on the Toronto Real Estate Board, and the percentage of them that are doing, there's 85% of the agents on the Toronto Real Estate Board doing less than 6 transactions, and even half of them have done no transactions. So, they can say, well, they're a realtor, but what have they actually done?
Yeah, that's right.
That's
why it's important to clear the mind games that we have in our heads. Make sure they don't create roadblocks for us and stop us from doing the work that's really important for our clients.
So let me ask you this. You started off as an agent and arguably say you have the largest RE/MAX franchises, RE/MAX Hallmark group of companies, at least in Canada. I don't know if the world, but I would probably say pretty close. So how does one go from, you're a pretty humble guy. Like if anyone knows you, they know you're a very, very humble guy, but you've grown a lot of great success. And, all the agents that I know that work for you guys, Deb and Steve and that love you guys, right? So how did you go from just being that realtor to being this great leader?
I have no idea. Really. No, I just knew that I'm very conscious that people that know me know that this journey that I'm on, this privilege that I have to live this life, has to be engaging. I have to be growing. I have to be contributing. I have to be making a difference for other people. It's never been about money. It's never been about the accomplishments of being the number one or whatever it is. It's being relevant. It's being able to contribute to people that need to be contributed to, that ask for it. And, if you ask me, what's my biggest accomplishment, without a lie, it's the people that I put through rehab, that I've been able to help through change their lives. And they did the hard work, but I was able to help them grow and get their life back by being there for them. So that's my judgment for myself, is that am I able to make a difference for people's lives? And so my company, the company that I'm involved with, that co-own, is based on who I am, and based on growing and making a difference and contributing. And if we do the best we can and all the things we can, and we're purposeful in what we're doing, the results are going to be there. The results are going to be beneficial to people. So we've grown to, I have no idea how many offices we have. I really don't. And I don't mean that to be flippant about it. But we have about 1,900 real estate agents, and we have the #1 volume of business for any RE/MAX in the world. And was that my goal? Absolutely not. I had no goal. And again, I look at my friend Pat Gillis, who's the best goal coach in the world, I think. And I guess subconsciously, I knew that if I just did the work, and I did all the stuff I'm talking about today, if I just did it, the results would flow. I would have what I want in my life, and I would grow it in my life, and I would do that. So I just kept doing that. I kept building it and creating opportunities. Now we're doing more stuff now. We're creating stuff down in Florida. We're doing different opportunities in Ontario. We're the #1 real estate company in Ontario for volume and for real estate agents and for business. And I'm really happy about that, because it gives us opportunity to make a difference and to influence people and to create an environment to help people grow and to help clients. So it's always been about that. It's always will be about that. And we're always changing. along the way. And I'm blessed to be surrounded with incredible people that really help me be better at what I'm doing. And how did that happen? I think you live a life that's true to who you are and who you want to be.
That's the
And
key to be number one, is you have to create and follow people with direction. You know, I
Yeah.
know Kent quite well, and I know you and him are quite good buddies, and that whole little group there.
Yeah.
And you know, you grew up from this little office downtown into this 1,900 realtors all over Ontario, and you're even looking to expand out of there. So obviously, you had to, you know, from just being a simple mindset of one person, you know, one person can make a difference to one person, and that person can make a difference to somebody
Yeah.
else. And it just
Yeah.
multiplies along the way. So, you know, you help, say, you know, got someone off a substance or alcohol or whatever, you know, that's an amazing thing. I mean, I think we all should, you know, I was just talking to a very good friend of mine just before the call. And right now he told me he had some health issues. So
Yeah.
I said, I got to go onto the Zoom call, but as soon as I'm done this, me and him are going to have a private conversation. And I want to
Yeah.
find out where I can help him with what his
course.
issue is, right?
Yeah, I think that's important. And listen, I'm a conduit for people that need help. I can't help people get help if they don't want it. And I've been able to figure that out. Listen, there are a lot of people that I know that are unbelievably gifted at doing this much better than I do. But I think if you look at what matters to you as an individual and how you tailor that into your business. Listen, I always talk to people that they say to me, I want to have balance in my life. I'm looking for balance. And, you know, listen, I think it's hard to get balance. I think it's really difficult to have balance. But the pursuit of balance is really important. I think that journey of always striving to get more balance in your life matters. And we develop balance over the years and things like that. And I think whenever we're too one-dimensional, all work or all not work or whatever it is, it creates problems. So I've always strived in my business, in my life, is to have as much balance as I can. I have not always been successful, but I've tried very hard to do that, and not beat myself up too much, because I really screw up a lot. Okay.
You hit a key thing. I'm very tough on myself, beating yourself up too much.
Yeah.
Right. Because, you know, as you try and improve and get better, and here's one thing I've always done myself, Ken, is I don't try and compete with nobody. I just compete against myself. I just try, and every day I need to improve on my skills, my health. In health now, as we're getting older, is now really taking over everything, right? Because without your health, you're nobody. I don't care if you've bought 10 properties, 20 properties, and you become a zillionaire, but if your health is not going to work anything for you, it doesn't matter, right?
And the difference that you're making, Daryl, matters. You do a tremendous, your gift to people to help them by just doing this, presenting this type of thing. I mean, are you a man of contribution, which you are? And do I have to live into that? Do I want to live into contribute to my clients, to my database, to my, you know, whatever?
We do a lot of charities, right? So
yeah, I might
never back to those that are less fortunate ourselves.
Yeah, and I think it's important that your portfolio of what you do in your work matters to the people that you're connected with. Okay, and it really is real. So if you're living a falsehood, you're going to get found out sooner or later. So be real and be centered in who you are in life. It matters, whatever that is, you know. And there's no judgment on that. Just choose whatever it is. So, you asked me how I got to where I am. That's probably where I think I got very clear on who I am in my life very quickly.
So most people would say you're very laid back that would know you. But how can one be so laid back when you have the biggest franchise in Remax and probably any other broker in Canada? Reality, you have a very aggressive side to you, but it's sort of low key, right?
Yeah, I'm very, very clear on what I stand for. There's no question about that. And there's a line based on what I stand for. If that line is crossed, there's a problem. But I'm very low key with stuff that doesn't matter. I don't get wired up in drama at all. I don't do that. But I'm very clear what matters to me. And if it matters, if there's somebody that comes after somebody in my life. That's unfortunate. I'm very,
Big brother.
yeah, I don't stand back.
Yeah, I know that about you. Listen,
Yeah,
I truly know that about you. That's what I
yeah.
love about you.
Anyway, that's, it's, anyway.
No, but that's to be a leader, you have to have that type of mentality, right? That
I think you do. I think you have to, and how do you become a leader? By living it, by living into it, and not buying into the mantle that I'm a leader. You know, you become a leader by leading people, by leading yourself, and by being the best you can, and by making a difference. And I hear often, and I say this with respect, I hear people who are called influencers. Now, I have no idea what that means, other than I think they influence people. I don't know what,
social
but
media's made a lot of influence.
yeah, I mean, how do you call yourself an influencer? I think they label themselves influencers, and to me, I don't buy into that stuff. I'm not a leader. I'm a person that I'm privileged to be helping people grow and help myself. I grow the best I can by helping other people grow, I think.
Surrounding yourself with great people to help you grow. Looking back 365 days and measure how much you've grown in that 365 days, right?
Yeah, and am I being the way I want you to be? Is how I live. And I can't expect you to be a certain way if I'm not actually living it myself, you know. So it's easy.
So would you say real estate is the place to be, right? Like if someone, should they buy today? Should they sell today? Should they invest today? What's your thoughts?
You know what? I think it's important to have that conversation with everybody based on, find out what's important to them.
Bingo.
You know, I don't think you can go blanket and say, hey, it's best to buy today. There's people that I know that, you know what, you're not ready to buy today. You have to be prepared for it, and your finances aren't in order. We have to clean up stuff. But if the question is, should I be in the real estate market? Without question, you should be in the real estate market. Do not be I'm sorry, don't rent. Okay, have renters and rent and stuff like that, and have properties that offer rent, but be in the market. When's the best time to be in the market? When you're ready to be in that market. But you should be in this real estate market. I was taught many years ago, and on Husmarat, I don't know if you know Husmarat or not. Wonderful person that works for a company at Bayview. And I had a conversation with him. This is going back in the 90s. I don't know when exactly, but he says, Ken, I says, Cuz, how did you do it? How did you become, you have 15, 20 properties. At this time I had one. Okay. He says, somebody told me to buy one property a year. And he says, I went out and bought one property a year. And what happened to me from that conversation, it was in my head. I have to buy one property a year. And guess what? I did. I don't know how the hell I did it. I know that first one I did was difficult, but I imagine that every year I had to buy a property because I was building my wealth for myself and my family and for others. And so my mantra was every year to buy a property. And I bought at least one property every year since that day. Okay, so that's what drove me. I think a lot of real estate agents tend to work from deal to deal to deal on their finances. And what our job is in the real estate end of it for ourselves is to build our wealth. Okay, and we build our wealth by not doing deal to deal to deal. We build our wealth by one property a year investment that we hold for long term. And that's what I do. That's what I did over the years.
40 years, that'd be a lot of properties, my friend. That's good.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun.
Right.
And I do it with, I have shareholders, I have shares. I don't own all of them. I have different partners in them and different things. We just bought one, closes Monday. So beautiful. I guess that, the market is, I would buy in this market to answer the question. Yeah.
That you just did, right?
Yeah.
So, I just bought a property last year,
Yeah. One a year. Have that mantra, like one a year to build your wealth.
Right.
To do it.
So, you have to believe in what you're doing. And if you have that belief, then you can teach that belief to others, right?
Yeah.
Don't tell them something that you wouldn't do yourself. And that's how you would look at it. And I think I look at it the same way.
Mm-hmm. There's no difference in it.
I'm not going to give you that advice unless I do it myself, right?
Yeah.
So
I think the other thing that happened to me, and this is not preaching about it, to be really clear, but I stopped drinking. I stopped drinking 38 years ago, 36 years ago. And I'm not advocating for people to stop drinking. Okay, that's not what I'm talking about. But it gave me a discipline at that time because I had a problem with it. Okay, I had a problem with the drinking, and it created a discipline in my life that I had to rise up to. Okay, and again, to be clear, you know, I'm around people all the time that drink and that they have a great life and they're fine. It's not, I'm not trying to convince people to quit drinking. The discipline mattered to me though at that time. And so that was a big shift for me.
well, it's the abuse of drugs and alcohol that can kill you and take you to another direction that you don't want to go.
Yeah.
You want
Yeah.
to do something in moderation, it's fantastic, but
Yeah, if you can do that.
No.
I'm not a moderation guy.
no, but that's what I'm saying. Some people have an
Yeah.
addictive personality
Yeah.
and, you know, they just go over the deep end and they're,
Yeah.
you know, you can't think clearly, you can't
Yeah.
work clearly. So in moderation.
And I think we should have a happy place too. So if you look at behind me, there's a red barn there. And that's my happy place. That's my farm. And that place is my family place where my family comes to visit and we hang out and we do things and we love it there.
Is that the one in Prince Edward?
County, yeah,
County,
Prince
yes.
Edward County. And it's my happy place. And there's no question about that. And that's the balance in life. And over the years, create a happy place in your life that you can gather with your loved ones and your friends. And listen, be patient. It takes time to do it.
Takes patience.
Yeah.
So we're coming down to the last couple of minutes. So that's one of I would say that's a great parting word. Be patient, right? Strategize, be patient, and have a vision, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Walt Disney, I used to mentor out of a gentleman that was Walt Disney's right-hand man. And, you know, they came up with it. If you can dream it, you can create it. And that's big and a big philosophy. And it sits in behind my desk. If you can dream it, you can create it. So having that vision. So, you know, you look at where you came from to where you are today, you had a vision and your vision wasn't as big as it is that where you got to you today, but you had a growth pattern that you were not going to give up on. And you continue that growth pattern and then it multiplied and multiplied and multiplied, right?
Yeah. You know, Daryl, I knew even back then that my life I'd be living today is the life I would have. I knew it. I knew that if I did the work, if I was true to myself and I really got better at my craft, which we all have to do, and we should do, and I'm true to people, I would have everything I want in my life. And I think everybody here has the same opportunity to, if they're really good at their craft and they make a difference for people and they're patient and they're diligent and they're honorable and have integrity, you know, life's going to happen the way they want it to happen. And there'll be ups and downs. There's always stuff that happens. I know that. But you know what? It's okay. We're blessed.
Get knocked down 7 times, get up 8, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think you do it.
You have to. There's no other way. And that's the problem, that people get shut down and then they give up. They get frustrated. They get angry. They go into a binge, maybe, whatever it is, or they disappear. They go in the rabbit hole.
Oh, we used to call it to go under the covers. We used to have, we have had people that can't deal with it and they go home and they go into bed and they throw the covers up, you know, because they're hiding. I'll tell you, when COVID hit, okay, it scared the hell out of us. I've been through a lot. We've never had something that was basically out of our control. We didn't, I remember sitting down with Steve and Deb and Vince and other people in our leadership team and think we've never seen this before. And I remember the first 2 weeks that we were just like, okay, what are we doing? We had to consent, we had to get it together. And we made the decision at that time, we had one job, a couple of jobs. One job is to make sure everybody's healthy as best we can. Number 2 was that we had to make sure that our agents didn't cocoon, that we knew that our agents had families to feed. We knew that our agents were getting stressed by this stuff. And our job was to make sure that they didn't cocoon, that they didn't stay home, get sick, get toxic, and start developing this stuff. So we immediately went to work on helping people get out of their element and to grow and be positive. And that's what our job was. And that's all we did for the first 6 months to a year on the whole thing. It was very clear to us that we had to do. So we had a purpose from day one.
It was a scary one, but
It was, but we grew from it. How we are in a crisis is who we really are.
as they say, what doesn't kill you can help you grow, right?
That's
So
right, Daryl.
we
And
got to take
how about
failures.
those? So how about those Leafs tonight? Let's do this. Are they going
Let's
to
do
win?
this.
What's the score?
What's the score? Well, I better know it better be Toronto up front because I'd hate to go back. You know, we have that. They've gone through 8 series where they lost, but I think their mindset.
I know. I don't know. I mean, I'm.
No, I believe their
hope
mindset
so.
is strong enough, and I think they're
Yeah.
going to win. I think
Yeah.
they're going to win 5-3 tonight.
Well, to your lips to the ears of God, whatever that expression is. I don't know what the expression, but from your lips to my ear, God's ears.
You have to believe, and I just, you know,
I believe. I know it's fun. It's fun.
You know, I told everybody we've only won 2 difficult games in Tampa. It's not the series, so let's everybody get together.
Yeah,
put all our energy and push these guys ahead, right?
Yep.
Get that monkey off our back, that
Agreed.
drunk monkey. Does anyone have a quick question for Ken? Because our time is running out. I could keep him here forever. Did anyone here live here want to ask a question? Guys, anyone want a question? None of you? You're all tight-lipped right now. So Ken, what would be your last parting word? I'd like to thank you. I mean, this is, you know, time flies so fast when you're enjoying having a great conversation. What would be 1 or 2 great parting words that you would have? I'd say, tell everybody, let's go Leafs, let's go. But outside, and let's just talk about their life, right? Just 2 things that you.
I think just get out of your own way. Quit inventing this stuff in your head. That's going to stop you from being great. By being great, by stopping you from living a full, vibrant, engaging life. Get out of your way. I think we tend to be our worst critics. We tend to beat ourselves up more than anything. Just get out of your way. Keep or stop worrying about stuff you have no control over. You can't control this market. You have no control over that. Why would you worry about it? Just adjust. Do what the market tells you to do and get on top of it. So get out of your way. Get out of your own way. Okay. Quit worrying about stuff that doesn't matter to you, that you can't control. And be excellent. Out of your own way,
right? Yeah. That's a great quote. You know, get out of your way, because it's that drunk monkey for most people. You know, they've got great ideas and they got great thoughts of doing something, and then they get that self-doubt and then just in their
so
ears.
Alex Fung, you asked a question. How do you go about buying 1 property per year? You just make the decision that it's going to happen in your life. Okay. When I bought my first property, I didn't have any money at all. But the opportunities, when I was aware that my job this year for myself was to buy a property, the opportunities came about. I was more aware of it, and I created opportunities that allowed me to do it. I would do it with somebody else. I would borrow money from here. I would do this and that. I would put 10% down. I made it happen. But first thing I did is I made the conscious decision that I was going to do it. And then because of that, opportunities came my way that I was aware of, that maybe I can make that happen. So I think the first thing Alex should do is make the decision that you're gonna do it. Okay. And that and don't settle for it not happening at all. And do it long term. Listen, if you're gonna buy properties to sell in 6 months, you're gonna lose. I don't think you're gonna make it. That's not the business I'm in. I think you have to do long-term investments. By long-term, minimum 5 years.
Well, I would like to thank you on behalf of myself and everybody here today, Ken. It's always a pleasure, you know, sharing your wisdom with everybody. So this is Daryl King, sharing of the mindsets. We'd like to thank everybody. Everybody that's here, we're going to give a full recording of this.
Yeah, if you need to get a hold of me, if you have questions, you know, I'm easy to get a hold of. It's ken@remaxhomework.com, or my cell is 416-565-4572. And you know what? Open book. Reach out.
Let's go Leafs. Let's go Leafs.
Go Leafs, go.
Let's go, baby.
Thanks, guys.
Ken, thank you very much for everybody attended here. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, guys. It was amazing.
Bye. Bye, guys.
Love it.
Bye.
Hey, Patrick. How are you, brother?
Bye. Thank you, man. Amazing.